Today we're back with Leaps and Bones and our College of Knowledge, and we're with Alicia and Amy, and we're talking raw. So basically, the first question I think anyone would ask is, what is raw?
So raw is basically the pinnacle of pet nutrition. It is the way your dog's diet as nature intended it. So going back to their ancestral roots, it's what they're designed to eat. They are carnivores. They have teeth that are designed to eat meat, and that's what raw is. It's meat, fresh bones, organs. It's
Vegetables.
limited produce,
Yep.
fruits, vegetables, which they would all be getting from their prey in the wild if they were eating their prey's digestive tract. So we're basically hitting on what nature wanted your dog to eat.
So just so I can get this right, because I know people always ask, well, we domesticated them, so why are all these kibbles on the market if raw is really the way to go? And I think you guys have talked previously, at least when I'm around, and you're talking to other customers about the nutrients, the macro and the micronutrients, and what happens in a kibble process that doesn't happen in the raw, and what raw retains. So can you explain a little bit about that?
Of course. So raw is great for all of your nutrients, whether it's phytonutrients, which are your like small nutrients that come from your plants, which basically when you cook foods at high diets that kibbles are cooked at during the extrusion process, you lose a lot of that nutrient. So that's why kibbles are typically sprayed on nutrients. That's why they're greasy to the touch. When you have a raw...
So can I stop you right there? When you say sprayed on nutrients, you're talking about the synthetic vitamin packs.
Exactly.
And I stress the word synthetic. They're not natural.
Most of them are not. There's very small brands that use natural vitamin packs. But they're sprayed on, so they're not going to be as digestible. Your dog's not going to absorb them correctly. It's much harder for them to take in the nutrients that they require compared to unadulterated nutrients that are present in raw.
And they will go rancid a little more quickly.
Exactly.
Too. So when they're on the sprayed on form, as opposed to being in the fresh vegetable or fresh meat form that we get in raw dog food.
I think Hemi wants to be part of the discussion. So people always say to us, or at least I've heard from customers, won't I or my dogs get sick if we have raw in the fridge, or if my dog's eating raw? Will my dog get sick, or will I as a human being, or my kids? What's the ramifications? Are there ramifications of eating raw?
So when you're dealing with raw, it's no different than when you're dealing with raw products for your own dinner. So if you're making a raw chicken, clean up the area, wash the bowl, wash the surface, wash your hands.
And if you're immunocompromised, there's always gloves to wear.
Exactly.
Disposable gloves that you can wear if you're worried about that as well.
Exactly. And because raw foods are handled in a much more stricter fashion because they're intended to be fed raw, let's be honest, a raw diet in a pet store freezer is typically cleaner than your raw chicken you're finding at the grocery store because that is intended to be cooked. They're not intending any human to eat that raw. So the standards of handling are much higher with your raw dog food, so there's much more limited chance of cross-contamination occurring with a raw food.
Great point.
In addition, your dog's digestive system is designed to take on that raw. It's what they're made to do. They have higher stomach acid than we do to kill bacteria. They also have a much shorter digestive tract, so that food is not sitting there very long for it to ferment and go rancid, for lack of a better term. So the chances of your dog getting sick from salmonella are very limited, but you gotta remember, at least my dogs do, they love to eat poop in the yard. If they're gonna get sick, there's way more stuff they can get sick on.
True. All right, so that leads me to my next question, and maybe some of our customers are wondering too. Everybody says you need crunchy kibble to clean a dog's teeth. Tell me why that's wrong.
This is your favorite topic.
It is my favorite topic. It drives me crazy. My question to you is, if you eat a crunchy pretzel or potato chips, does that clean your teeth? It does not. If anything, that's going to make your teeth feel more gunky because those carbs and starches that are in that product are sticking to your teeth, causing plaque buildup, tartar, and let's be honest, bad breath, because guess what likes to feed on sugar? Bacteria. Bacteria makes things stink. So when you eliminate that from your dog's diet, you're going to get cleaner teeth, fresher breath, and overall just a better mouth biome. So your dogs are going to have a much healthier smile. And then, let's be honest, raw bones, great for cleaning teeth. Turkey necks, duck necks, chicken necks, all those little vertebrae are natural flossers for your dogs to eat. In addition, there's femurs, so lots of good options for cleaning the teeth.
And Amy, I'll ask you, just because we know with our dogs, how much do dogs chew their food?
Kibble, they don't. It's basically crunch swallow if there is a crunch. So, but with the raw food, they will, if there's larger pieces and bones, like Alicia said, they do have to chew those because they are there. But typically, let's face it, they're not chewing their kibble at all.
And just an aside for raw, can you guys explain to me how it's not going to, so some people are afraid bones will build up in a dog's system if they eat raw consistently. When we're talking bones in raw, we're not talking large bones. We're talking small bones that will pass right through or things like that. Explain that a little bit.
So moose raw is very finely ground. I mean, in all honesty, if you were to look through your dog's raw patty, you probably won't even find a trace of bone. Maybe a little bigger piece here and there, but for the most part, you're not even going to see it. And the great thing about that, what your dog does is when they're digesting that raw, that bone that their digestive system's breaking that down. So whatever calcium, phosphorus they need, that's going to be absorbed, and then it comes out the other end. But the best part about raw is you're going to have smaller poops because they're digesting that food much thoroughly. And what is passed through is typically the leftover bone they didn't need. You leave it out in the yard for a couple days, it turns into white and goes bye-bye. You don't even have to clean it up.
And it's low in carbs is my understanding, especially raw. Low in carbs. It doesn't have fillers like kibbles do of meal products. A lot of times you'll see, and sometimes you'll see stuff you can't even pronounce. So, okay. And so that leads to the next question, because you brought up poop. We always acclimate that dogs need a lot of water, and that helps them move and the waste through their system. So on raw, does a dog drink a lot of water, or a cat?
Not
No.
really. They're getting water from their diet, which is how they're supposed to, especially cats. Cats are what they call obligate carnivores. They are not really drinkers. They descend from desert animals. So they're not looking at that water bowl going, oh, I need a drink of water. They're honestly looking for that from their food source. And that water present in their food source is going to hydrate your dog and your cat at a much higher level than just drinking a bowl of water. Think about it with us. If we drink a lot of water, what are we doing 10 minutes later? We're running to the bathroom. Our body is not absorbing it as efficiently as if you ate an apple or some watermelon. That's going to absorb into your body much more efficiently and hydrate yourselves much better.
And on top of that, the other thing is too, a lot of cats actually need a higher,
Oh, yeah.
they need more water. But cats aren't really water drinkers, like you said.
Yep.
So they really need to have a more moisture-driven food than even dogs do.
Oh, definitely.
But the more moisture that you can always get into them, the better it's going to be.
Yep.
And so that's why one of the great things with raw is that, like Alicia said, it's a higher percentage just by taking it as opposed to a very drying kibble.
Exactly.
And you guys have kind of gone over a few things. Some of the other benefits of raw you've already gone over. But what about allergies? And when you talk about allergies, when your dog has allergies, how will raw help? And really, with the allergies, what is the benefit of raw versus, say, a non-raw product or a kibble? Really, it's kibble that we're talking about when we talk about raw.
Let me use my dog as example. As most of you guys know, you've probably met my Corgi Roman. We have come to the conclusion with him, he does not digest carbs well. He's a Corgi. His ears stick straight up on top of his head. There should never be an ear infection with him. But when he was younger, he had tube. And that led me to really investigate what I was feeding him. And the pinpoint was he was eating my female's kibble. So we took him off kibble, we put him on raw, and guess what? His ears cleaned right up because he wasn't digesting the excess sugar found in kibble products. With raw, there's very minimal carb content, so carbs equal sugar. When you remove those, guess what? Bacteria can't feed on stuff, and you don't get ear infections, and I know you dealt with it with Zelda, so...
And with Zelda, we had problems with her feet, and she was constantly gnawing at her feet because there was too much carbs in her diet. The other thing with Zelda too is we were having problems with her anal sacs backing up,
Yeah.
which is another big problem with being on a kibble and something so processed. And so as soon as we removed those items and we just went straight to a raw, we no longer had to worry about the expressing of the anal glands because there was
Firmer,
enough.
harder poop.
Correct.
And can you talk to everybody a little bit about the different types of like patties versus nuggets? And really that kind of goes into how do you prepare and how much should you feed? So encompassing in that question, is it always just taking out a raw patty from the freezer and throwing it in something to defrost it? Or is there other options with raw that maybe work more into your lifestyle or a customer's lifestyle?
So the great thing about raw, it comes in so many different ways. It comes from balanced to not balanced to supplemental. I mean, there's so many different options. We have little nuggets as found in Steve's, so those are gonna be a quick thaw. So maybe if you don't have the time, or you have a little dog, you just take a scoop, let it sit on the counter for 10-15 minutes, and it's thawed. If you have a bigger dog like me, I like the patties because it's pre-measured. Everything's in 8 ounce, so I know exactly what my dog is supposed to eat. He gets a full patty at nighttime. Thaw one patty, we're good to go. So the patties for me work for me. We take it out in the morning, and by dinner time, he's thawed and ready to eat.
Can I just add on that?
Yes.
When you do take it out, we're putting it in the refrigerator and letting it
Yes.
thaw slowly. You can just put it on the counter, but if you're going to be gone for the day, even at our house, that's what I do.
Yep.
Is as soon as we feed breakfast, I have a fresh container. We put the patty in, put it in the refrigerator. By the evening, then that one's thawed and it's
Yep.
ready to go. We get a new container, put it in, and then we throw them in the dishwasher afterwards, so
Yep.
they are sanitized after we use all of the fresh food.
Same thing for my cats. All my pets have their own containers, so that way I don't have to worry about cross-contamination of their food to my food too. So they have their own special pet containers. They know, my pets know whose are whose. They get excited when they see their containers come out, and makes it very versatile. So
Just so maybe we can summarize a little bit for the audience. So we have a multitude of raws. You can go anywhere from supplemental to balanced, and really the raw brand that fits you is going to be what you figure out for your lifestyle and your dog or your cat. We do also have raw foods are great for cats as well.
And I
so
can
I just
I add,
want,
just to add
yeah,
to that,
I just want to
think
make sure you touch upon that a little bit.
one of the different things and one of the nice things that we have is with all of our raw foods is there's so many varieties. We have some that are going to be a little bit higher in the fat content. We have some that are really low in fat content. So if you're worried about, pancreatitis, or you're worried about
weight gain, or
gain,
your dog's a little chunky and needs to slim down for the summer,
or
we
you
got food
have
for you.
a super picky dog, you may want that little bit of extra of, or you have a working dog, you
Yep.
definitely need a higher concentration,
Of course.
or higher fat content.
I get that question all the time. What is the best raw food? And there really is no best dog food, raw food. There is, because every food sort of supplies a different need. Just take Primal, for example. Primal is great because it's a very lean food. They use mostly organ meat in their recipes, so it's great for that dog who needs to be on a diet. It's great for that pancreatitis dog. So it's going to be great for that dog who needs to lose a couple weight. But then you got Stella and Chewy's and Steve's. Those tend to use a little bit higher muscle, so great for active dogs, puppies, new mothers. So every raw has its place, and there's different benefits to each one. So there's really not a what's best. It comes down to what's best for your dog, and that's what makes raw food so great.
And that's why we're here to help, is to, explain those to you and let you know what, if you're looking at raw, and we have some great options if you're just kind of tiptoeing into you want to add a little fresh
Got some
raw
little toppers.
We can, the toppers are great, and you can slowly add that into your dog's food and see how they like it and how they digest it as well.
Thanks. So we've debunked the myth that kibble cleans teeth, and you guys have given some great information on raw. So again, we have a resource in every store. All of our employees can guide you through different foods and what's best for you and your pups and cats. So don't forget, we do have cat food. So come on down and see us, and like I said, hopefully these videos are helping debunk some of the myths. We'll see you next time.